everybody. Well, welcome from Mallorca. My name is Richie Prior. I'm pleased to welcome to this Zoom call today Ian Livesey. Ian's the head of mainland Spain and the Balearic Islands for TUI Destination Services, and Dominique Carroll. Dominique looks after the International Press Centre for the Fomento del Turismo here in Mallorca. That's basically the Mallorca Tourist Board. Afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
So I'm in Mallorca. Dominique, you're in Mallorca, aren't you?
I'm in Palma, yeah.
You're in the, yes, a very nice part of Palma, actually, on the Paseo Born, in a beautiful building that I got to see last week. So yeah. Absolutely lovely. And Ian?
I'm in Salou, Richie, on the Costa Dorada, so about an hour south of Barcelona.
Okay, so part of your region, I take it?
Exactly. Yeah. On the mainland, in kind of the Catalunya region, we've got the Costa Brava. Then we've got business in Barcelona in the Costa Dorada as well.
Okay, so part of your remit and part of your brief is to look after the Balearic Islands. So that's Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza, Formentera. And then how much of Spain? The whole of Spain?
And then the whole of the mainland of Spain where we have operations. So really on the coasts, that's from the Costa Brava in the north through to the Costa de la Luz, so the Cadiz region in the south. And also as well in the winter, Andorra for the ski program, where we have a program up there, of course, which runs from really the middle of December through until the end of April.
Okay, so we are in more or less looking at how many passengers would you normally carry over a course of a year?
Where to the island of Mallorca? Or?
To hold to you, and then obviously then to Mallorca.
Well, our group in Spain, really, you know, if we include the Canary Islands in a normal year, we would probably have more or less 5 million guests that would come from all our different TUI source markets to Spain as a whole. And of those 5 million, probably around 25%, so about 1.2 million, will come to the island of Mallorca. Okay,
and then Dominique, give us a brief outline of what you do and how you do it.
I came to Mallorca about 25 years ago from London, where I was involved in travel PR, from everything from airlines, tour operating, hotels, services, and just basically continued here on the island, which is now I regard as my home. And I joined the tourist board, the Fomento, about 15 years ago to start up their International Press Centre and to basically promote the positive side of the destination within the main feeder markets, principally the English-speaking and the German-speaking markets. And that's what we do today.
Okay, and the principal part of TUI's business really is the German market and the UK market, right?
Yeah, predominantly, I would say about 75% of what we carry to the Balearic Islands is either German or British. They're our main two source markets. And then the third volume source market are the 4 Nordic countries. So Finland, Denmark, Sweden and Norway.
So just to give everybody an idea that Mallorca received just under 12 million passengers last year, of which just over 4 million were from Germany, around 2.5 million from the UK, and about 1.5 million from Spain. So it's a lot of people throughout the course of a year, of which really predominantly the majority of people will come in the 6 months of summer. Winter time will be a little bit more, be a little bit quieter. Mm-hmm. And passenger numbers through Palma Airport at the beginning of this year, well, they were up 2.4% in February, actually, in 2020. And then obviously, once the lockdown hit, unfortunately, passenger numbers started to fall dramatically, down 60% at the end of March. July and August, though, they're expected around about 5 million to come through in July and August. Obviously, we're out the lockdown now. We're now open. Our borders are open. That's obviously different to what there was this time last year. But if you think that 2 months ago, we were all in lockdown, we've come a long way. And Ian, I know you've been involved heavily in getting this program back up again, haven't you?
Yeah, we obviously worked a lot during those kind of 3 months really of what what were more or less total lockdown from the middle of March. And we restarted our program to Mallorca, which was something done hand in hand with the Balearic government and also as well with the national government from Madrid, with the German pilot, as we called it, which ran for the second fortnight in June. So that was the 15th of June for 2 weeks before, as you mentioned, Richie, Spain really reopened all its borders officially. So it was certainly a very kind of eventful 3 months when we didn't really have any business on the island or anywhere within our organisation, but a lot of work was being done to get us to start again in the new COVID world. And
have you ever really experienced anything like this before? I mean, I've been trying to rack my brains to think if I had something, possibly 9/11 had an effect on people's travelling, but this thing hasn't. It's not been known before, has it?
Yeah, we laughed a little bit really, because I always talk about kind of instruction books, yeah, and you can go to Carrefour or in the UK to Marks and Spencer's and buy an instruction book, but there wasn't one for the COVID. You mentioned Ash Cloud. I think another one as well that we had about 10 years ago. Sorry, you mentioned the 9/11. Then we had the Ash Cloud.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Another one which was a big test. And then obviously there's been things during many years in each of the different destinations where you do have big incidents, whether they're kind of coach crashes or things with hotels or illness to a large extent, but something that affects the whole world, because it really affected the whole kind of world and the whole of the tourism industry, is quite unique, I think. So no, there was no instruction book at all.
And Dominique, from your side, were you allowed to go into work, or did you have to work from home?
At the beginning, we had to work from home, and then I was very keen to go through our archive material, which of course was all in the office. So with a special letter from the president of the Tourist Board, I could go in and go through all our old archive of material, which I made into a press release on, the early days of tourism in Mallorca, to try and get away from talking about COVID and to talk about the roots, Mallorca's roots in terms of tourism, and to try and make people smile. It was, I found some fantastic material, and it was great to see things like the first bikini ever seen in Spain was in Mallorca. That was in 1962.
I think I think people should know, and obviously we sort of get put together with Spain, because obviously we're part of Spain, and the number of COVID cases in Spain is around about 270,000. There have been about 28,500 deaths. It's been very, very bad, particularly on the mainland. But here in the Balearics, of course, the cases are a lot lower. We had around about 2,326 cases, which is about 0.86% of the whole of the cases across the Balearics. And unfortunately, 224 deaths, of which is a 0.78% of the total deaths. So whilst, you don't like to put positive spin, you can actually say that this is a safe destination. When people come here, it was taken very seriously. Obviously, it was taken very seriously across the whole of Spain, but particularly here on Mallorca, because we're an island. It was a lockdown. There was nobody coming through the ports, nobody coming through the airports. It hit the island, a lot less than it did on the mainland in places like Madrid and Catalonia. Correct?
Exactly. Yeah. No. Absolutely. We have been promoting the fact that the health service here coped brilliantly. And had, in fact, spare capacity. I think at one point we were taking patients from other areas. So that, we have a very modern, sophisticated infrastructure, which is completely geared up. And that's thanks to its tourism industry. That's geared up to a lot more people than it was dealing with at the beginning of the state of alarm. And definitely, Mallorca is a safe haven, for sure.
And Ian, in your experience, with regards to obviously travel and everything else, and what you would do normally in these circumstances, how different was it from anything? Well, obviously we know that you said it was different because you'd never experienced anything like it before. But From a TUI's point of view, Mallorca is one of the busiest destinations in the world for TUI, right?
It's the busiest one, Rich.
It is the busiest. Okay.
It's our largest single destination that we have. So, you know, Mallorca to our group is a very, very important island. The Balearic Islands are very important, and you know, TUI at the end of the day is a German company as well. And you know, over many years, there's been a very, very good relationship between kind of our head office in Hanover and of course all the different kind of government figures that has been in the Balearic Islands. So for us, it's critical. It's a critical destination to our program.
And important in the way that obviously it is so close to the UK and to Germany as well. I mean, flights in and out. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I've ever travelled from Mallorca to Germany actually, but obviously to the UK, you know, 2 hours. I imagine it's probably less to Germany. So, you know, right in the middle of the Mediterranean, it's quite central in the whole of Europe. So that's why I imagine it's important, correct?
Exactly, yeah. You know, for us, obviously, the flying time is very good. As you said, the UK is just over 2 hours. Germany as well. If you fly from the south of Germany, the planes come in about 1 hour and 45. Obviously, in the north, a little bit longer. But of course, I think, you know, one of its wonderful selling points is the complete different variation that there is on the island. You know, it's a beautiful island, as we know, but you know, it attracts all different kinds of potential guests and customer profiles, because it really has got something for everybody. And that's, you know, one of the reasons why it's such an important kind of part of our program, and obviously, you know, is a very strategical island for our group.
And Dominique, from your side, I know you've had some journalists over since the lockdown finished to sort of come and review the island and getting back to life again. How did all that go?
It went actually surprisingly well. They all started in your part of the world, in Magaluf, to see how it was down there. In terms of, you know, Magaluf without any tourists is going to be quite sad. And they found the most stunning beach. Of course, Magaluf has the most wonderful beach.
True.
And a very sleepy resort at the moment. And then certainly the vast majority, I've got one here at the moment that's on the island for the Telegraph. And he's going around all over the island to see the hotels that are opening out or about to open, and really getting a feel for the quality side of the tourism sector. A lot of the boutique hotels are opening up and are reporting already quite a good pickup for August and September. So there is hope there that they will have some sort of summer season. Although I appreciate, and I'm sure Ian can tell us more about that for the larger hotels and the resorts, that is not so much the same story. And sadly, some of them will not open at all this summer.
Yeah, Ian, how have you found it? Obviously, we are now, 5 weeks into when you first started flying?
Yeah, obviously, you know, you mentioned before our two largest markets, the Germans and the British. The British, of course, because of the government restrictions in the UK with the quarantine, you know, we've been slower to start off with the British market and really begin to ramp up numbers really from the end of July. But certainly for the first few weeks of this month of July, you know, the Germans have been very strong. We've had a very, very strong Polish contingent to Ireland as well. And then the Belgians and the Dutch as well. But of course, you know, as Dominique mentioned, it's very, very different to previous years. Yeah, the island, although it's quite a small island, there's a very large capacity on the island to fill. And you know, unfortunately, we're not going to get anywhere near those previous year numbers in 2020.
You have some sort of hotels that are owned by the company, don't you? You have I don't the name you get, or the Holiday Village. I know, of course, up in the northeast of the island. Is that back open again?
Yeah, we've got quite a few different kind of they're classed as concept hotels. Concept hotels. Some we own as the group, and some obviously we work very closely with partners. But the majority of the concept hotels are opening. Some of them aren't, because again, you know, the volumes of this summer are not going to be like they have been in previous years. So again, what a lot of the hoteliers are doing, which I think is very logical, is consolidating hotels together. I think an example of that could be something like in Playa de Palma. We've got the Riu chain, who have got 6 hotels in Playa de Palma, and I think at the moment 3 of them are currently open. So there's a lot of consolidation going on, because unfortunately the island, you know, is not going to be as busy as it has been in the past. But again, Rich, you know, that's something that we can turn around in a positive for people wanting to visit Mallorca this summer. They're going to have a wonderful island. They're going to have an island that's got less guests on it. So obviously, you know, their experience should be a lot better and less busy in the height of the season.
Yeah, I funny enough, I was talking to someone the other day about this, and sort of saying, even from not just from a tourist point of view, fantastic, but also from people that live here as well. It's an opportunity for us, some of us that aren't maybe working full time, to actually go and enjoy more of the island and go and see more of the island that we've actually never had the opportunity to see. Because you can be sure that I've lived here 30 years and I probably haven't visited more than, you know, I don't know, half the island. I'm naughty enough to know that I should go out and see a lot more, but have had the opportunity over the last few weeks really to go and see more things, enjoy more things with my family, and obviously everything else. But as you say, you know, well, if you look behind me, you can see obviously it's bright sunshine now. We're at 6:20 in the evening for us, and it's still bright sunshine. It's going to be beautiful till around 8, 9 o'clock at night. And there are some stunning things to see here, even if we're in, you know, semi lockdown, as it were. You know, we were out of lockdown, but we're not in, you know, in the case of how it was in 2019. And so moving forward, Ian, obviously now kids, well, I would say it normally would be kids' school holiday time, but obviously the kids have been off for quite a long time. So are you seeing an increase in numbers coming into the month of August?
Yeah, I think, you know, we're hoping for an increase in the month of August again, because the UK market begins to fly. You know, we have a lot more flights coming per week in the month of August. And again, I think it's a matter of, you know, restoring a little bit the confidence as well of the people who are wanting to kind of travel, and to, when people, you know, arrive to the island, to ensure that they are going to have a wonderful holiday. You know, the new norm is slightly different, but that's different for everybody, and that's the same in each of the countries. But, you know, ourselves as TUI, you know, we've done a lot of work, you know, with the local organizations, with our partners, with the hoteliers, with the excursion suppliers, with our own transport company as well, and our teams. Our teams have had a lot of training on COVID-19, just to really, you know, to ensure that we can give the guests, you know, the best holiday experience possible. So I'm quite confident in the month of August that the people that come, that respect the rules, because there are rules to be respected, and that's something I think that's very important, that people understand that, are going to have a great time on the island.
And I think people, obviously, maybe the main worry maybe for people is the aeroplane itself, isn't it? You know, it's an enclosed space and everything else. But I know you guys have worked very hard on measures, both for the airline and when they get to resort, through the coaches that you take them from the airport to the actual hotels as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think, you know, the whole part of the customer journey has been looked at in each different aspects, you know, and whether we're talking about, you know, extra cleaning procedures that are needed, whether we're talking about the wearing of face masks on the aircraft, on the transfer coaches, which obviously is law currently in Spain, whether we're talking then about between the buses when they're being used again, extra cleaning. So, you know, we're kind of, you know, we're aiming to kind of do everything that we should be doing to try and kind of protect our guests, obviously, safety when they're on the holidays. And all I think that we need, and this is something as well that the government will kind of say as well, you know, we just need our people that come here to also to understand that and to respect the local rules and regulations. But as long as you do that, you can still have a great holiday on the island.
Absolutely.
And Dominique, from your side, you know, with regards to obviously people coming here, it's important that we get that positive message across to people, isn't it? That,
absolutely, yeah. You know, this island's simply got it all. We've got mountains, we've got beaches, we've got amazing countryside. We have fantastic gastronomy. We've got fabulous wines. You can play golf, you can sail, you can cycle. It's absolutely everything here for everyone. And from young people through to couples, through to families. Obviously, Mallorca's tourism industry was built on that. The package holiday was born here, if you like, back in the 60s, and we've gone on. And I think this is an opportunity for us to reset the button and go forward and look at how we can improve what we have and protect our resources, protect our environment, and make sure, as Ian says, that it's health and safety for everyone, the locals and for the visitors and everyone involved in ensuring that people have the best time.
That would probably be amiss of me to actually mention the name Magaluf. Obviously it's the name that hits all the headlines, sometimes for the bad reasons, sometimes for good reasons. We've mentioned already that, in our opinion, it's probably the most beautiful beach on the island. It's in a bit of a state of flux right now because of the situation that occurred a couple of weeks ago. I don't want to dwell on it too much because I think we need to move on and we need to think positively about the resort, what we can do, as a person that works or has worked in Magaluf for 30 years, is part of a business that's been in Mallorca for 35 years, based in Magaluf. I think it's important for us to look at the positive here, not the negative, to move forward. It's important that we all understand the rules and the regulations Ian mentioned a bit earlier on, and make sure that people that come on holiday enjoy themselves. We want them to enjoy themselves. That's really, really important. But they have to understand that we do have these rules, we do have these regulations, they must be adhered to. And unfortunately, we're in a situation right now where, parts of Magaluf are closed. Some is still, obviously, most of it is still open. There's just a couple of streets that aren't. So there's still every chance for people to enjoy themselves. I just wanted to get your point of view of Magaluf and what you think.
To me first?
Yeah, go on.
No, listen, Magaluf, again, kind of got quite a lot of negative publicity, as we said, which we should just move on with. And I think Magaluf, you've got to look at some of the positive things. There's been a lot of investment that's been put in, both by the local government and by the hoteliers and the different kind of owners of different establishments in the last few years. So it's a very different Magaluf in today's world than it has been in the, in the past. And I think for me, what really it could be the time to do is that Magaluf could kind of, come out of this slightly repositioned. We forget a lot as well that, you mentioned the beach. You forget a lot as well that a lot of the hotels or apartments in Magaluf are actually quite geared up for families as well. We're very, very close to Palma Nova, which again has got a superb beach and a wonderful promenade. So, you should, as you said, Rich, I think take the positives out of it. There has been that negative publicity, some of it potentially correct, but there is a lot more to Magaluf than obviously them couple of streets that are being closed down currently due to the COVID situation.
And Dominique?
Yeah, I think what they have been doing in Magaluf is absolutely amazing. Over the last few years, a huge amount of money, as Ian says, has been spent on rebranding the resort and modernising the facilities and offering a lot more to the tourists that are there, and really giving people a quality experience in an amazing environment. They do have an opportunity to make it the Calvia Beach Resort, and I hope that this in fact helps them, not sort of closes it all down, but really helps them to reposition it correctly and offer people, particularly families, as Ian says, a really quality experience. Palma Nova has done it brilliantly, and it's only around the corner.
No, I agree. And listen, as I say, I've worked here for 30 years. I came to the resort when it was a mixture of families and young people enjoying themselves. And it seems to sort of have changed over the last few years in particular. And I think there's an opportunity for it to come back. And I still think those two things can go side by side. I just feel that maybe, I learned the other day that 70% of the beds are 4 and 5 star now in Magaluf. And that's a percentage very high in that. You compare that to the whole of Spain, that for a resort, that's a very, very high percentage. So I just think that I think the business owners and the authorities just need to get together, sit down calmly and start talking about what we can do together to make this resort better, because I think there's some great people out there, some good people in the resort that can help in getting that back to, you know, to where it should be, and be a principal part. And I don't think it's just for the UK market. You know, we know, having lived in that resort right now, there are a lot more Italians, a lot more Portuguese, a lot more Scandinavians, a lot more. It's become a lot more diverse than I've ever seen it before. So, you know, it's important for all of us, I think, around, you know, the three of us talking right now, but obviously other people as well, to try and get Magaluf, or as you say, the Calvia Beach Resort, back to where it should be. And that's obviously a plan, I think, for 2021. Well, we're nearly done. I told you that half hour would go really quick. But I just wanted to, I'm going to put you on the spot now. The top 3 things to see and do in Mallorca, in your opinion. Ian, I'll go to you first. Put you right on the spot.
Yeah. Well, I would like to say that I would love to live in Mallorca, because, as Richie mentioned, you know, my kind of remit is the mainland as well. So I spend a lot of time kind of traveling between Mallorca, where I have my main office, and the mainland. What do I like about Mallorca? I think Mallorca, first of all, we mentioned it before, its cuisine, its food is very good, and the wine, of course, that goes along with it. So there's some wonderful gastronomy to have on the island. I think another thing that people need to come and to visit is Palma. Palma is a wonderful city. It's a very small, a compact city, but it's beautiful. There's a lot of architecture in there, and it's certainly well worth visiting. And then I think the third thing that people should enjoy about Mallorca is its diversity, yeah, and the different beaches. You know, you mentioned the beach of Magaluf, which is a wonderful white sanded beach in a very touristic destination. But on the east coast and the north coast, there are some wonderful beaches on the island that really need exploring, need finding, and are certainly just as picturesque and as nice as some of the Caribbean beaches. So there we go. Them are for me. The food, the wine, Palma as a city, and the beaches.
Well, yeah, I think you've stumped me then, young Ian. Dominique?
I agree. Palma has done a complete 180 as far as I'm concerned. It is now, for me, one of the most elegant Mediterranean cities, a destination in its own right.
Great.
Very cosmopolitan. A couple of years ago, the cathedral opened up its terraces. Now, at the moment, they're not open because the problems of COVID. And if you can walk up the 200 steps when it does open, my God, it is worth it. To look out at Palma from the top of the cathedral is just stunning. So that would definitely be one of my top things to do. The other thing is to get out into the mountains and have a look at the nature. This is such a stunning island. Absolutely fantastic walking for all sorts of levels, and for families as well. Wonderful. I mean, the Fomento de Turismo started an excursion group in 1905, and it's still going twice a week. Not at the moment, but it will start again in October. And that were all part of discovering the island. And of course, the beaches, as Ian said, you know, Estrenc and places like that, Soncera da Marina, up in the north, Puerto Poyensa, fabulous resorts as well. Lovely traditional seaside resorts. So sea, the mountains, and definitely Palma.
Yeah, and I think I'd like to go with, well, I'd sort of echo all your thoughts about the gastronomy, definitely, the wine, fantastic. The fact that it's a great island of contrast. You've got the mountains from the west, the beaches and the coves on the sort of the north and the east. And then, you know, we are famed for our nightlife in the south. You know, I think Palma's fabulous at night. I still think Magaluf has one of the best nightlives. It can come back again, I'm sure. And don't forget Pirates, Ian. Us and TUI, big partners. We'll be back in 2021, young man. Don't you worry about that.
we need pirates, and you need ourselves. And I think the most important thing is all the thousands of people that we take to Pirates, whether it's any one of the 3 shows that have an excellent time and want to go back. So yeah, we've got some wonderful days and nights out on the island as well.
Yeah, great.
As you know, Pirates is right up there at the top.
Brilliant, guys. Listen, I really appreciate you giving up your time today. I know you're both very busy right now. Ian in Salou and you in Palma, Dominique. Big thank you. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Perfect.
Nice to see you.
Keep safe, everybody.
Yeah, keep safe. Take care.
Bye.